Hello everyone, and it's nice to come back to this game. So I've been playing a lot of Battlefield 2 and 2142, but I haven't really given Battlefield 1942 much love, and we'll say that this loading screen, and actually the loading screens for this game are very nostalgic. I love the, it's almost ominous art in a weird way. It's kind of like almost like a threat almost, like as if you're going straight into the meat grinder. And I guess, you can play this game with up to about 255 bots these days. As you can see there, I only played with can't math properly, but I think it was about 54 or 58 or something or other about that figure. But yeah, I did some initial gameplay here on Guadalcanal, and this was later on. I figured out that this was probably not the right map to record any sort of interesting gameplay on because it's such a sparse map with a lot of open areas, and the bots part finding wasn't great. Like, I was able to kind of just freely roam around and capture a couple of points almost unimpeded. And then I quickly realized that there is one particularly chaotic map. I've been using the word chaotic a lot, but in this case it very much rang true because the bot part finding in this game is definitely not as good as Battlefield 2's, but the game is still great. I mean, the modding scene for this game is also very strong these days. There's a couple of mods still kicking around, and a lot of total conversion mods like Battlefield 1918 and Forgotten Hope, Secret Weapons and stuff like that, which I think is really nice. And it just goes to show, I guess, this game's still got a decent community. It's not as big as Battlefield 2's because that still garners 100 people or so on a good day, or on a typical day really. But in 1942's case, which I'll probably show in another video at some point actually, because I totally forgot to even record that, there are still online servers and there's still people playing on them, which was really nice to see again, because again it just goes to show the longevity of these games. And I loved the wacky physics in this game too. That's something that Battlefield 2 kind of missed to an extent. I mean, I guess it's there to an extent, but it's not really, just the enemies just flying about the place and vehicles bouncing up and down when they explode. I did have some footage recorded of the intro of the game and of the map Bocage, but unfortunately for whatever reason it decided to record in 4:3, and I think it was because I recorded from the intro of the game onwards, and with most encoders or most recorders, they only record in a fixed resolution set. They don't tend to dynamically adjust or anything like that, and I guess the initial recording wasn't set in 16:9 or widescreen as it's called back then. So I just decided to record in 4:3, and I decided that wasn't really worth putting onto a video. So instead we've got this initial bit of footage of having a somewhat riveting tank battle. And I didn't realize, I mean, I guess there's some realism to that. I mean, I don't know, I was very obviously wasn't alive during the Second World War, but I didn't realize that the tank guns have a significant drop off after about 50 or so meters. So it led to this rather uneventful tank battle. But yeah, this game's been great to go back to, and I just love the visuals. I mean, again, the game doesn't look as good as Battlefield 2's, but there's a lot of charm in the visual style of this game and the ambition that it brought along with the vehicle combat and whatnot. I mean, this game is very much, it's not really an early concept. It's very confident in what it is, but compared to its sequels, it's very much an unrefined and somewhat raw experience. You often can go for quite a long time without finding anyone, and it's like a bot running around, or you be in a vehicle and or an enemy will approach you in a vehicle and you can't really do a lot, or someone will take you out the rocket launcher. Just some oddities here and there that were later refined in Battlefield Vietnam and Battlefield 2. Of course, I will give Battlefield Vietnam its love. I mean, I didn't play that game as much. I almost completely avoided it actually, just because I just didn't pick it up. It was 1942 and Battlefield 2, and then a little bit later on 2142. So we'll go straight to the next footage pretty shortly. But none other than a very infantry-heavy map called Stalingrad, and I remember that this was a rather threatening loading image as a kid, being like, oh, what, the helmet's just being crushed. It was kind of scary, actually, as a kid, actually seeing that, and that just reminded me of the feeling that I had when I, would load up this map. But this map's sick, it is so much fun. I imagine this map would have been an absolute blast to play back in the day, and even playing it now if you can play with people online. I did see that one of these servers had a ping of about 178, which is a lot more palatable, if I say so, compared to the 300 or 350 that I'd so often get in Battlefield 2 and 2142. But of course there was still servers with about 350 ping in this game as well. Just goes to show where its fan base still is sort of centralized in Europe and the US. But that's fine. There's still a handful of us Aussies kicking around playing this game from time to time. There is actually a Battlefield 2 Aussie Discord that's pretty much dead, but very occasionally has people pop in asking if they want to play a game. And of course there is a Battlefield 2 hub. But anyway, back to this game. I love how simplistic it is too. Again, the combo rose isn't really a thing. Is it called the combo rose? Anyway, I'm going to call it that. Very simplistic. There's no real spotting. There's the AR chatter doesn't spam you like it does in Battlefield 2, which is a charm of Battlefield 2. the bots also tend to just snipe you and just one-hit you, which we'll find out later on happened quite a bit. I also found it interesting that they actually show you where the AI actually, like, or your opponent actually killed you from. Because I didn't realize, I kind of forgot that that was a thing in this game and kind of wasn't really followed upon in subsequent games. But hey, we move. You see, I get sniped again just for running in there. So that was great. And again, I get punished with a longer time to spawn because of that. Because, you know, how dare you get shot, just walk in and get shot, you know? You just know, I guess. Anyway. And I always thought it was interesting as a kid playing this game and seeing that a lot of the Soviet weapons were like the number 4 Enfield and stuff like that. But as an adult, I realized that that was because of the Lend-Lease program that the Soviets had, that the US and the UK to a lesser extent funded them with weapons and so on and so forth. In the big old fight in the Great Patriotic War against the Nazi regime. And I didn't play as the Axis forces, although the MP40 is a pretty sick gun to use in this game, and in most shooters, actually. It's actually quite an overpowered gun in most games, go figure. It's kind of like the MP5 in a way, actually. I guess it's its grandfather. But yeah, I should cover the expansions at some point, because the expansions of this game are quite interesting. There's the Road to Rome one, which covers the like the battles in Italy, and then the Secret Weapons of World War II, which is like a special forces one. Although I did play a little bit of that after this because I wanted to see it. Like I had a memory of a specific map, and the map I picked was the wrong one, but I still played it for a little bit because it's still fun. And I totally forgot that there was like all this extra custom cool shit that you could find scattered around the map, but I'll have to go find that at some point and do a whole video on that. But as you can see here, it's chaotic, but not in the usual Battlefield 2 Striker Karkland sense. It's just that there's just a bunch of enemies just running around the map kind of aimlessly, like headless chickens. You see that bloke over there just, I don't know, goes for an evening jog, I guess. I don't know. I just thought it was just genuinely amusing just how much worse the AI are in this game, except for snipers for some reason. Like, snipers will just fuck you up instantly. And it was that same bloke, like the same bot, just lasered me like 3 times. And the second we caught this, we captured this rail yard section, like it started a ticket bleed. And I picked this map in particular because I do remember very vividly playing this. And I guess for maybe an 8 or 9-year-old me, it felt a lot more intense. But like I just remember like holding out here against like a shit ton of enemies and just trying to survive. And I mean, I guess I was very much recreating that here, but it was just kind of funny, just kind of having that again. And just kind of having those memories flood back through. So, I mean, and I guess that's the part of the reason why I've restarted this whole thing again, as I've stated so many times in the past, is just because I just want to go back to games that, you know, I enjoyed growing up and finding my place and purpose and going forward in that. And I've done that to an extent. It's actually been a pretty good last couple of weeks for me, actually. So, you know, I guess I've succeeded in that. And I keep joking that I'm just going to stop doing videos at some point as a result of that. But no, I just feel like it's just fun to do that and, you know, just do it at my own pace. If I find something interesting to do, I'll probably flog the videos to death. And cue my surprise when I get shot by a sniper, but now deal with it. Now 30-second or now 20-second spawn time, which is a lot to think about things. And I should have probably said what I said in those last 30 seconds in this stretch of the video, because at that point it's just like, well, I don't really have a lot to say. I've been sniped and I now have to wait nearly half a minute to spawn back in. I also thought it was really cool how there was basically no squad system, so the team sort of aspect is reliant on everyone kind of working together rather than, you know, small groups of squads like is the case in Battlefield 2 and, you know, its sequels. I actually can't remember if Vietnam had a squad system. I don't believe it did, but, you know, I could be wrong. Again, I didn't play that game nearly as much as this game or its sequels, so that'll be rectified soon enough. And of course, going back to the modding scene, there are so many cool little mods. There's actually a Star Wars mod for this, which I didn't even realize. I mean, with 2142, you know, the modding scene for that is a small one, but there are people making mods, and like there's the Project Remaster, which Sergeant Prop has done, and among other people. There's First Strike, which is a Star Wars mod, and then there's not really much else really. There's single player mods, and then there was like one by this Russian dude who I remember I downloaded the texture pack for and managed to upload it on ModDB so people could actually have complete textures. This game still has a very active modding scene, as I stated earlier, and I am looking forward to going back through the mods and, you know, going through that gameplay and seeing how they've shaken things up. Because, again, this game feels like an open canvas compared to Battlefield 2. Battlefield 2 felt very complete. And I found it really funny how when you die on a stationary gun, you just kind of just stand up and die. And apparently vibes just killed me. I'm not quite sure what killed me there, but hey, you know, it happens. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the train was live or something and just electrocuted me. I have no idea. And I spawned back as anti-tank because I just had enough of the tanks, because at some point I think about like almost all the bots just straight up died on my team. So we're just kind of like, okay, there's just me and one other bloke. Alright, well, might as well have fun with the anti-tank class. And it's really funny how focused the classes are. Like, again, it's very much a one-trick pony thing. And of course, later Battlefields would sort of do away with that, and then everyone kind of became a one-man army. You know, you could have like which, I mean, some classes would have you know, one class would have medical kits, and you know, the other would have tanks and stuff like that. But explosives and all that were usually restricted to just the one class, and so on and so forth. And in this game, you know, it's very much, you know, fit for purpose. You know, everyone has a role. It's a jack of all trades, master of none type thing. But yeah, no, this game was a great fun to come back to, and I will do more videos on this game at some point. Of course, as I stated earlier, I'll cover mods and expansions and all that, but I still need to do that with Battlefield 2. I've got one mod showcase mod planned for Battlefield 2 that will come along at some point. I'll probably do that after this, actually, just because I should probably get around to it, and I do vividly remember that mod coming out and being really excited for it. But anyway, Battlefield 1942, still a fun game, very basic compared to its sequels, but I highly recommend getting it. It's still pretty easy to get these days. It was even given away by EA themselves on their now defunct Origin service for free. But that will basically wrap things up for tonight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and you know, leave a like and I don't know, do whatever, comment on it or whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But bye for now.